big political war that broke out today with the BJP accusing the Congress of using the tainted Cambridge Analytica data firm to manipulate elections. The Congress denied any links to them, but meanwhile the company itself says that both parties were its clients. The India arm happens to be headed by the son of senior JDU leader KC Tyagi. Srinivasan Jain has more on this story that continues to develop. So Vasu, it's a really bizarre situation. You have both the main national parties denying any link with this firm. The firm itself is bragging on its website, which has now been suspended, about how these big political parties have been its clients.
Absolutely. The entire Cambridge Analytica controversy has now come to the Indian shores, and it's not just come at the level of rhetoric. There is now actual electronic evidence. There's an electronic trail which establishes how both parties have been clients of the Indian arm of this firm, if that Indian arm is to be believed. Before we actually start presenting that evidence, Nidhi, let's first listen to the disclaimers issued by both parties, each of whom accuse the other of links to this firm.
Let Mr. Rahul Gandhi explain. Of late he is quite active on the social media. What is the role of Cambridge Analytica in the social media profile of Rahul Gandhi?
Any attempt, covert or overt, by the social media, including Facebook, of trying to influence India's electoral process through undesirable means will neither be appreciated nor be tolerated.
Indian National Congress or the Congress President have never used and never hired the services of the company called Cambridge Analytica mentioned by the Union Law Minister.
Okay, so there you have the emphatic denials by both the national parties. But here we have Amrish Tyagi, the son of KC Tyagi, the JDU leader, the head of the Indian arm of Cambridge Analytica, saying how he has done work for both the BJP and the Congress, and in fact giving the specific details of both.
11-12 में हम लोग ने यूपी में बीजेपी के लिए भी कार्य किया है, कुछ यूथ कांग्रेस के एक प्रोजेक्ट में हम लोग झारखंड भी काम किए हैं, और जेडीयू के लिए भी हम लोग काम किया है जो पब्लिक डोमेन में है, और कुछ इंडिविजुअल कैंडिडेट्स की भी
बिहार में चुनाव के दौरान,
जी हाँ, जो 15 का चुनाव है उसमें भी हमने कुछ काम किया है, लेकिन अपनी कैपेसिटी में.
Okay, so this is Amrish Tyagi saying that he worked for the BJP in 2012. He's done work for the Congress in Jharkhand in 2011 and 12. And we're going to now put up on the screen the images, the screenshots from OBL's website, which actually shows the BJP, the Congress and the JDU as the clients. That website, as you now say, has been suspended. But here are images that we've taken. We've actually taken printouts of those images to actually establish how that has been working. In addition to that, there is even more evidence. This has come from the LinkedIn page of someone called Himanshu Sharma, who is actually a director at Ovleno Business Intelligence, which is the Indian arm of Cambridge Analytica. And he on his LinkedIn page goes even a step further, Nidhi. He says that they've managed 4 election campaigns successfully for the ruling party, the BJP, including achieving a target of Mission 272 by managing a call center project. He says that they also provided constituency-wise databases to BJP candidates, as well as additionally supporting that party for national elections and state elections of Haryana, Maharashtra, Jharkhand and Delhi. Now, this portion of his LinkedIn page has also been taken down, but again we have the screenshots which are up on the screen where he clearly makes this claim. We do not have a categorical response from the Congress or the BJP distancing themselves from the claim made by this company. And we also managed to get a hold of documents of this company which are known as its Memorandum of Association. Now remember, Mr. Tyagi has been going around saying, look, we didn't actually get into any data surveillance or any of that. We were just doing more election surveys and whatnot. But their Memorandum of Association, a copy of which we have, and I'll try and see if I can get the camera to give you a close-up shot of it, that says that one of their main missions is, this is number 1 on their list of main objectives, is to provide competitive business intelligence research, investigate and provide surveillance services and market survey to industries and organizations. So intelligence research and surveillance very much part of their charter. So clearly our political parties have much to answer for.
All right, Srinivasan, thanks very much for that. And it's quite revealing when you look at what Cambridge Analytica's India arm is claiming to have done, and the way Indian political parties are flatly denying a link with them, and also the way that website has suddenly got suspended and LinkedIn pages have got changed. Well, joining us on the program tonight to take a look at the fallout of all of this, here in the studio with us, Sameer Saran, Vice President of the Observer Research Foundation, Apar Gupta, Senior Lawyer with the Supreme Court, Mr. Deshratan Nigam, who is a supporter of the RSS and a lawyer himself, Gaurav Vallabh, who is with the Congress Party, is with us tonight. Also, columnist Seema Sirohi joining us tonight from Washington in just a moment. Let me take this to you first, Sameer Saran, because before we get into the politics of it, how much of a serious issue is this? I think people don't realize that when they're going onto social media and they're signing up for apps or even liking posts on Facebook, they're actually opening themselves up to a huge privacy breach.
I think this is a story of three idiots. This whole episode where you have, on the one hand, all of us shrill and loud screaming that, oh my God, this could happen. When you are walking down the street without your clothes and you get clicked, it's bound to happen. And someone is going to post it. And pretty much all of us are digitally naked when we go to many of these sites, because we have never bothered to understand the implications of our actions on this platform, me included. In fact, I was seeing my setting on Facebook. Mine is a public setting, so I post anything. It's available for everyone to read. So I think that's one, is that are we aware of what we are doing when we are getting there? Second is that we don't understand the intricacies, and this is not really about Facebook. It's about all digital platforms. It's about the digital realities that we live in. Facebook, of course, is the biggest of all of them.
So tell us, I mean, like, what should people know when they're liking something, when they're signing up or taking a quiz on Facebook? Was this actually started by people taking a quiz?
This was an innocent quiz that someone would have responded to, would have agreed to share his Facebook profile details with that app owner, and that app owner then illegally, without permission, gave it to Cambridge Analytica, who has used it for the purposes of influence operations or client services, which they have listed as, in their own website. Now, of course, this is not necessarily a data breach. This is more akin to a data theft. There's a criminality here that without having the permissions to use your information, they've gone ahead and done it. Now, I will be very interested to see if Facebook was to file a strong criminal case against Cambridge Analytica, and in that particular case, what are the details that they list, and in which case can we draw inferences on Facebook's culpability or
unless Facebook always knew about it.
And I think therefore it is extremely important for Facebook to come clean on this. One of their ways of coming clean on this is not only to share information about what transpired, but also what action are they taking, what punitive and remedial actions are they taking, and if they do strive for that remedial and punitive action, it tells you that perhaps they can, they may not have been culpable in participating, but they were either looking the other way, or they just did not have the capacities to manage the business.
And that's why Mark Zuckerberg is coming under fire today for not having said a word on this entire issue ever since the story hit the headlines.
I think we must realize that every action of ours actually tells someone something about us. So, if when you like a particular post about, say, a garment or ad on Facebook,
or
you get these ads,
or even a political comment by a friend
or a political
of yours.
Comment, it starts creating an ideological consumer and social profile.
Yeah, so I was going to ask Apar about that. That what is interesting here and scary is that if you, for instance, exactly as Sameer said, let's say people write political things on Facebook all the time. They don't like this party, that party, something somebody said. If you like that, so then immediately someone like Cambridge Analytica is looking at that and is already drawing up a profile of you. If you've clicked on, say, a clothing website or something, they know what you like. They know how to influence you and play on your biases, and that's how they influence elections, right?
That's correct. At least that's what's their claim, Nidhi. Now, there's a popular saying in the technology industry that if you're not paying for it, you are the product, because the underlying basis of the technology which you are availing as a user for social networking, it's principally free. You're not paying them any money, right? But what they are extracting from you are small data points which not only come from the status updates you post on Facebook, which is criticizing a political party, but even stretches far beyond that. The pages that you like, the friends that you have, and also the so at its very base level.
They look at your photographs.
They look at your photographs, the time you take to click between photographs. So I would say that while we need to be concerned about Cambridge Analytica, let us go at the very root of the problem, which is the surveillance economy itself of the large platforms such as Facebook. Secondly, as our user expectations are clashing with any kind of privacy protections which are there, we need to ask what are the laws there to protect us. And there I would like to indicate that India has a very insufficient regulatory system in place. Even Europe and America, which have faced these breach, have some kind of legal mechanisms which are in place to call these companies to account.
California had laws. Under
and
California,
this happened despite
the law.
So
I think there is an issue of law, then there is the issue of legal capabilities to enforce law, and then of judicial capabilities to punish for the breach.
We've only had a privacy judgment by the Supreme Court months ago, right? So I think as a value, I don't think we understand what the importance of privacy.
Actually, you know, the privacy judgment draws on 45 years of privacy jurisprudence. So privacy has always been there as a core part of several judgments of the Supreme Court. There have been attempts to bring about a privacy legislation in India. However, the government has dragged its feet on it, given that it's also a party. It is also interested in surveillance of citizens. And now with technology,
which is happening with Aadhaar and the whole debate there.
And with now technology just making it easier for government to surveil all of us, well, we as people need to put this as a stronger demand to our politicians.
Well, Gaurav Vallabh, how can the Congress and the BJP, and let me first ask you about the Congress, completely dissociate themselves from Cambridge Analytica's India arm? I mean, they're saying very clearly, Mr. Tyagi is saying, I've worked with all the parties, I've worked with the BJP, I've worked with the Congress, he's given dates, he's given campaigns, I've worked with the JDU. He says and he's actually talked about more BJP campaigns than Congress ones. But are you saying that he's lying?
See, we are not saying anything. The website of OBI, which is a arm of Cambridge Analytica in India, that website itself is saying something, that we had worked in 4-state campaign for a BJP. We were the part of Mission 272 plus. We were the part of 2010 Bihar election. So in the website, at no place it is mentioned that we had done something for Congress party. But
Tyagi's son, who heads it, is saying that yes, we did with the Youth Congress in Jharkhand.
Now what's happening? Now when we questioned him, and we had linked him that he is a son of somebody who is a member of parliament of an ally party of the government, then he is making all such type of allegations. Otherwise, had he worked for us, why he had not mentioned the same thing on the web post? Second thing, the vice president of the company, the OBI, the vice president Mr. Himanshu Sharma, in his LinkedIn profile, he is mentioning that what he had done. At no place he had mentioned that we had done these things for Congress party.
Are you saying did Congress leaders ever meet with people from Cambridge Analytica?
No, meeting is something else, but I can do. I'm coming.
You're right, but I'm just
coming
asking.
to that. I'm coming to that. I'm coming to that. See, we had never took the service of CA, Cambridge Analytica. We had never planned to take their services. Now meeting, if somebody is meeting or not, I can't say anything on that because it's a big party. But there was no plan and we had never took the service of Cambridge Analytica. That I can say on behalf of the party. Second point, just a small point, that there are two committees, experts were talking about the right to privacy and all those things. Two committees were formed. And Supreme Court 9-bench judges had mentioned that it is an important right. Government should take this forward. Why they had not come out with a legislation till now on that? So there is something which is behind their mind. And you know, Attorney General, while making a statement, he is telling that we are making the data secured by putting them in 15-inch long wall, 5-inch
actually long. He did say that today, which was hilarious, and that's a separate point. I'll come to that. But Mr. Nigam, you know, as a political observer, was this a bit of a self-goal by the BJP today to go on the offensive on this? And then the India arm of the Cambridge Analytica, its website gets suspended. Mysteriously, the LinkedIn profile that talks about them, allegedly backing the Mission 272 campaign and the kind of help they gave the BJP, that also mysteriously disappears and is removed from the LinkedIn page. I mean, was it a bit of a self-goal politically?
I actually don't have authentic information on that, frankly telling you. I would not go into the politics of it. whether the Congress is saying is the truth or the BJP is saying is the truth. There's a larger question, as you said, it's very scary. It's actually very scary. What I like, what I don't like gets translated into intelligent information, which is being used, liable to be used by a political party. Something scares me because I can be specifically targeted. I will not even know if my voting preference has been changed without even me knowing it. I mean, I am bombarded by certain kind of information based on my preferences, and I am thinking that I am making a free choice about my voting, and which actually I am not. This is what I find very dangerous. Something without you realizing yourself that you have changed your voting preference because you were specifically...
So you think that voters can be manipulated?
Yes, voters can be manipulated.
Can I make
that is the whole issue. And if it happened in US, where you have such stringent laws, despite having those laws in place, India, we have weak laws. In fact, they have set up a ministry, I believe, they set up a panel to make a draft legislation for data protection, which is supposed to come out this year. I think they should do it sooner the better.
But you are an astute political observer. I'm asking you that, I mean, firstly, do you think that politically this will even matter to voters? There's a good point that somebody raised on Twitter that ultimately, look, voters are going to care about, you know, the issues that affect them. Farmers will care about farmer distress. The middle class will care about taxes. This is a serious issue. But is this something that will matter to voters? Or, you know, politically, by pointing figures at the Congress when it is the BJP that has been named on the websites? I'm just saying that, is that a bit of a...
All this
that was misfire.
I cannot be a prosecutor and a judge here. Let me tell you very clearly. These are just information coming out in media. Somebody has to inquire into it and find a real fact. What is the truth behind it?
The websites were there.
No, websites may be there.
Yeah.
The fact is, they still have to be gone into to inquire are they lying? Are they not lying? I mean, I cannot sit over judgment on these people. Let us be very clear on this issue. The laws that are existing in India are inadequate, very inadequate. If you look at the Information Technology Act, it only
That's
talks,
exactly the point that Apar was making as well. But Sameer, let's talk about, you know, how voters will get influenced, and then I want to go to Seema.
I think that is the most important point. I think the real tragedy for this country is everything is reduced to BJP and Congress. I think we must understand that we are a democracy. We are a democracy which has real problems with a few countries in this world. Now, influence operations by outsiders using the digital medium is a very cheap and inexpensive affair. Now, if Pakistan wants to play havoc with your elections, and you allow capture of sites and allow the transfer of Indian data easily to others, you know, Pakistan can be deciding your next elections. The Chinese have far more sophisticated capabilities. I think this is not really about putting BJP and Congress behind bars, although I say both of them should be, because they are both guilty of us reaching a situation where we have a data economy without any data regulation architecture. But my point really is influence operations. India is a fertile ground for influence operations by outsiders and insiders. First point.
That's a scary thought. Yeah.
Second point. I think you speak to the digital teams of both the parties and they will both boast. In 2019, I will send customized SMSs to all voters. They both make this claim. Booth level. They say at the booth level, I have enough data of every household where I can send customized. If you are an Anganwadi worker, I will send you certain kind of SMSs.
It happens in our bar association elections.
So what I'm trying to
So forget the
So what I'm trying to say is,
yeah.
Cambridge Analytica is not where influence operations began. Cambridge Analytica is one amongst many, and I'm sure many will be exposed in the days ahead. This is not a Facebook Cambridge Analytica story. This is a digital influence story, and many smaller niche organizations are doing far more insidious work.
Let me just go to Seema Surohi for just 1 second, because Seema is there on Skype with us from Washington. And Seema, I just wanted to understand, because this story is actually a huge story there in the US right now. And, you know, I got up this morning and said we should do a show on this in any case. And this was before the political storm happened here, that this was important. I think that people needed to know what was going on and to understand what was going on. Seema, what are the headlines there this morning, your time, about this? Any word from Mark Zuckerberg, what he may do, whether Facebook will act? What's happening there?
Well, it's a huge story. It's political dynamite because reporters are coming at it from all different angles. It turns out that Jared Kushner, the son-in-law of Donald Trump, employed Cambridge Analytica for data. So then there's the whole question of Facebook allowing 50 million, accounts to be, the information from them to be used by Cambridge Analytica. And as Samir said, Cambridge Analytica is not the only company doing this. There are at least 10 others that have been identified that have sort of taken data. Facebook says, oh, well, they misused it. But the question is, about the technology industry. The arrogance of the technology industry is being questioned finally in the United States. They have grown so big that 4 or 5 companies, own huge amounts of information about our lives. And so if you try to regulate that, then the question becomes, do you want the government to sort of own that information, or do you want the private sector to own? This is a huge question right now that I don't think we are equipped to even handle, least of all the politicians. They're digitally ignorant, just as they are in India, they are in the US too. We just don't even understand the dimensions of this.
No, I want to ask Apar about this though, that we saw the way social media played such a big role in the campaigns of 2014, and it's probably going to be bigger in 2019.
That's correct.
And maybe the other parties have played a little bit of catch up with the BJP that's mastered the art. Therefore, this actually opens us up to much more manipulation, possibly digital manipulation, and that the scope of this is much bigger.
Yes, that's correct. So there are published studies which Facebook itself conducted sentiment analysis, that how it would change your news feed and it would impact your emotional well-being itself. And that also caused a certain amount of criticism towards Facebook. Now, the bigger point which Seema is just made is that there's been a dominant narrative of innovation which has been throughout the technology sector used to shield it from due diligence and legal controls. As a society today, we have a choice, given how deeply technology is embedding into our choices and in fact even nudging us towards making certain choices, that where should legal control step in and where should we actually define these boundaries. For this, I think so, this is a policy question, and the experts should be given room, civil society should be also engaged with, and organizations such as ORF, CIS, there are plenty in India, should be invited by the government to partner to discuss these issues, specifically on electoral accountability through the Election Commission, through the Ministry of IT. There are ways to go about it. It's not as if we are helpless, but we have to start now and we have to start fast.
But Gaurav, there was a report, I think yesterday, that both the Congress and the BJP are talking to, or are planning to talk to Cambridge Analytica for a tie-up for next year.
No,
so
as far as our party is concerned, we had categorically, I am saying, we had never took the service, nor we were planning to.
Any other data analytics company?
No, not at all, not
Why
at
not?
all.
You have somebody who's looking at data also.
See, our focus on data is something from the different perspective. We see that I'm because we have our own department, which is a data analytics department, and we see the data from only the public sources. We are neither we had any private data use in the past, nor we are planning to use any sort of private data in the days to come. That is very clear as far as the Congress party is concerned. As far as the right to privacy is concerned, or privacy laws are concerned, I totally agree with the experts that we require a lot of big thrust on the privacy laws, and it should come immediately. We should not wait, because the way we are.
Sorry to interrupt you, sir.
Just 10 seconds.
How do you define?
Just 10 seconds.
How do you define private and public data?
Just 10 seconds.
That's a good point.
How do you define
just
private
10
data?
seconds. No. Data.
What is public data? What is public data?
There is this.
See, private data is something what Cambridge Analytica is having.
Which is without consent.
That is a theft data. That is a theft data.
But these are public websites.
That is a theft data.
But these are public websites.
No. This is a theft data. You are taking the data
can I just try to understand what would you use the data for? What would, I mean, just explain that to us. Would you use it to try and understand voter sentiment, say in Karnataka?
Are you saying that if your department, your IT department, is to sit on front of Facebook and monitor my likes and dislikes and make a social profile for me?
No.
Are you doing anything different from Cambridge
that we consider as private data? that we consider as private data. Please appreciate. We are not into that kind of business.
Why are you then gathering those data?
We are not at all into that kind of business. So coming to your point, let me complete and then I will revert back to you. See, we are in complete consensus that we require a privacy laws, and we have to strengthen the privacy of the data. The data should be treated as a data. The reports like somebody in Jharkhand is having the Aadhaar data, somebody got the Aadhaar data in Chandigarh. These reports are really, I agree, it is having a very big
so what do you
negative
want the data?
impact
I'll
on
ask
the
you
nation.
Again. What do you want the data to tell you? What are you looking for?
No, we require data from our perspective, like our profiling of candidates we are having. How to select profiling if the candidate applies for the ticket. So we are having a data of the
how the voters would respond.
No, not the voter, but we are having a profile of the candidate. Based on that profile, we can decide that which candidate is most suitable for that particular.
That's a very lame duck argument.
All political parties have engaged in collecting voter profiles.
But I can tell you that as far as Congress is concerned, no private data we had collected, nor we are going to collect.
Mr. Nigam, I have to say, when the BJP tweeted today that any covert or overt attempt to misuse social media to influence India's elections will not be tolerated or permitted based on what the minister...
Who's asking us?
No.
Someone sitting in...
Based on what the IT minister said.
Will play with your election.
The fake news factory, come on, we know where that
originates from. Let me bring it into two aspects here. One is misusing social media. The second is misused by social media. See, misusing social media is like you have bots creating artificial accounts to increase the following, or to create fake accounts on Twitter. This is misusing.
Which is only done by the Congress.
No, I'm not saying. I'm not going into all that.
I'm joking.
And
they're catching up.
Yeah,
and misused
very slowly.
And misused by social media is to give up your data without my consent, which is what Facebook has done.
Well, data is a new oil, so therefore, oil refineries have fire safety guidelines.
Therefore, you need
have certain inspector clearances, have certain infrastructure to manage safety standards.
There's a lot to talk about on this. It is a fascinating, absolutely fascinating story, and one that does have huge implications for all of us as citizens, as voters, and for political parties. Let's see where it goes from here. Thank you to all of you for joining us on the program tonight.